What is up, Wellbutrin warriors and zany Zolofters? Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 TV shows of 2025. Watched a lot more TV this year, so I think I'm going to have a better list than last year, to say the least. But anyways, let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with number 5. I decided to go with Pluribus. This is Vince Gilligan's new TV show, his first foray back into TV since Better Call Saul ended. To give a brief description, that it's the world's most depressed person that is left on Earth to save it. We have our main character, Carol, and there's some weird hijinks going on in the world, and there's essentially this idea of a hive mind that takes over, and it seems like she's the only person that wants to make everything right again. And I would have to say for this one, it does feel more of like a slow burn, or more in the style of Better Call Saul, in that some of the episodes seem to add a lot, and then the others just kind of go and explore that world, which I'm a fan of. I think my main issue with the show is that I feel like where it ends, I wish we got like one more episode after that, and then I would have been fine with the season ending. I think sometimes when the shows are like slowly kind of trickle feeding stuff that happens and allows the viewer to make more sense of it, that sometimes it isn't enough for a fully complete season. I think the season ended, and I don't know if there's a full arc in that first season. I think it's like 90% of an arc is completed, and I don't think it did enough to fulfill finishing a season. They had a huge budget. There are some crazy things on there. There are so many like airplanes and big set pieces and all these other things that are going on, that it felt like so much of the budget went to that you end up getting like a fucking YouTube royalty-free soundtrack for a majority of the show that almost is so bad at points it feels like it's a parody. That's my major complaint with the show. The music is horrendous, but I think, it's a very strong premise. I'm excited to see where it goes. My other thing, which is why I think I had it lower on my own list, was that the hive mind idea, it's kind of really been explored just in the 2020s alone, and it does do a unique take on it, but so many people were like, oh, this is the best show, this is the best premise I've ever seen, it's the best pilot ever made. It's just not true. There was an ungodly amount of glaze for the pilot episode. I think it's good, but saying it's the best pilot that's come out in decades, you're just clearly not watching enough. It was even explored, like, I feel like in the Suicide Squad, the sequel with Starro, and even more so with Peacemaker and the butterflies that they have going on, and Invincible has their own hive mind thing that was in season, like the past couple of seasons just have been building on that. It's an idea that is starting to get tiring for me, at least. All right, so moving on now. Number 4, we're going to go with Peacemaker Season 2. Believe it or not, there are a bunch of Season 2s on this list. But with Peacemaker, I really enjoyed all of it for the most part. I think there's been so many multiverse stories that again is also becoming a very tired trope, but I feel like this one is good enough in that it's not like, oh, we're gonna see all the different types of people in this world, and there's gonna be so many different types of Spider-Man, and there's gonna be like 17 different Spider-Man, and all of it. It was just kind of like they're going into a world where maybe things could have been different, which I think is a strong enough and interesting premise to base the season off. I also like the ties that it had to Superman, and I think it's kind of building more of a connected universe, whereas some of the Marvel shows, they just kind of have shit from a butt show up in each thing, and you're just kind of like, okay, why do I have to watch 7 shows to understand one movie? The best thing about the show is definitely the intro, but I liked where the characters went. I think it was a great season. I really got excited, and I was surprised at how good it is, especially by the 7th episode. But with all of that being said, I think by the time it gets to the 8th episode, the show becomes a fucking parody. James Gunn self-inserts his OC into the fucking show, and we get like not 1, but 2 different fucking music sequences of like the same exact thing happening in the same episode. And I don't understand why he felt the need to have Nelson and whatever the hell, Foxy Shazam. I'm getting angry. I need to calm down. I don't know what drugs James Gunn was on to make that last episode, but I feel like if they took maybe 15 minutes of it and added it to the end of episode 7, I think it would have been a phenomenal season. Episode 8 is like some fan fiction bullshit, and it's just kind of so incredibly unnecessary of an episode, and it just makes it that much worse that it's the season finale, because then it almost makes you feel like, was any of it worth it? So for the rest of this season, I would say it was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 on most episodes, but that last one, I almost wish it just never even came out. I love the characters. I think Vigilante's fucking hilarious. I think he's one of the funniest characters ever, and I don't know what other people think. I think Hardcore's good. I think John and Data Bio, I think all of them are developing into their own unique characters, and I don't know if they're going to do another Peacemaker season, but I will say I'll be sad if they don't show up again. And that was the end of the 11th Street Kids. All right, so now we are going to go into number 3. We're going to go with The Rehearsal, Season 2. The Rehearsal is unlike any other reality TV show to exist. I think Season 1 was really cool and got me into Nathan Fielder's whole shtick and everything that he does. I think it was insane, the shit he did, and after watching all of Nathan For You and the other things that he's done, I'm just like, okay, genuinely, this guy might just be a psychopath. Like fully, if he's either doing the best created bit character of all time, or he's insane. And a part of me believes that a lot of it is a bit, but I feel like to go to some of the lengths that he does in some of his series, you have to be psychotic. Season 2, right off the bat, they're like, all right, we're gonna look into pilots and flying and why there's so many crashes and if there's anything we can do about it. And the journey, start to finish, you cannot guess in the very first episode where he starts and what he's trying to do leading up to the very last episode. It would be damn near impossible to be like, oh, this is what's going to happen in the last episode. I think the Rehearsal is such a subversive TV show that really has transcended what reality TV could even be at this point. Regardless if you know his character or that he's a comedian or anything, I think it's just a very interesting premise that nearly anybody that is curious and watching anything would get something out of. I think the whole concept and premise and the execution is so batshit crazy that it would be a disservice not to include it on this list. All right, so now we're going to talk about Andor Season 2. I watched Season 1 when it came out, and I was like, this is the best Star Wars thing ever, and nobody wanted to watch it. But let's be real. Who wants to watch a spin-off show off of a spin-off movie of the Star Wars franchise? It seems incredibly dumb and stupid, but it ends up being the greatest piece of Star Wars media probably that we ever got and will ever get, because Dave Filoni is going to be the new president, and apparently that is the Star Wars property that he's disliked the most, which is just, I don't think Dave Filoni has a functioning brain. The one Star Wars media that I feel like actually has a message and could instill good values and be more than the sum of its parts, and the new president is like, I don't like it. So Star Wars is fucked. It's been fucked. I mean, we're in the Mandalorian movie coming out in like a couple months, and that's going to be utter fucking dog shit. Back to Andor. Andor Season 2, it takes everything that was great in the first season and makes the stakes that much more important. The show truly finds the message it's trying to tell in Season 2. Season 2 has some very interesting arcs in it. I feel like the first arc is kind of more reminiscent of the first arc of Season 1, and they're kind of on the run again and have to get themselves situated. And then the second and third arc are kind of this more like part 1 and part 2 of the same arc. They end up going to the protests and everything that's going on Gorman. I don't want to give full spoilers, but one of the main things of that arc is that there's these people that are basically just fighting for their lives, and the Emperor kind of comes down and starts cracking down on them. It's very of the times and everything with immigration and ICE and seeing people protesting and the government kind of stepping in and taking full force of these people and taking advantage of them. And to see Star Wars actually be able to kind of have their own version of that and show it and show the horrors that these people are going through, I think it is very important. And it is just quite sad that we will probably never get anything from Star Wars like that again. It almost gives Star Wars like a deeper meaning instead of just being a fun space adventure. All art is better when there's an intended purpose behind it. The last arc of it really just ties it back into Rogue One and tries to give some of these characters more complete arcs. But I will say, after watching Andor, I have come to determine that Obi-Wan Kenobi is no longer my favorite character. It is now Cassian Andor, and I'm just sad that, spoiler alert, in Rogue One, he dies. We probably won't ever really see this character again, but I think he's one of the characters that goes through the most change and is so developed, and so many characters of the show are just written so well, and you're just kind of like, George Lucas, why'd you get rid of your Ghost Rider? Like, why couldn't you get more Ghost Riders? So much of Star Wars could have been so much better if somebody knew how to write goddamn dialogue and make the characters feel fucking real and not whatever the hell they are for a majority of the time. I also really like what they do with Stellan Skarsgård character, Luthen. I think he's also one of the most interesting characters in the Star Wars franchise as well, and kind of seeing how his character develops throughout the show, how good or evil he is, and even if he feels like he's doing the right thing, so many other horrible things that guy has done. It's just really interesting kind of seeing, is it worth doing all these bad things to try to make the world a better place? To finish off talking about Andor, I just think it is phenomenal. So many people just are gonna skip it because they're like, I don't like Star Wars anymore, Disney ruined it, blah blah blah. And this is just so almost far removed from it that it's almost become its own thing, and I just wish more people would give it a chance. Currently has such an important message to impart on us. I will say, I think art can influence people and change their opinions on things, so I wouldn't be surprised if some people had a different stance on ICE or immigration or government involvement after watching Andor, as insane as it sounds. So our number one spot is going to be Severance Season 2. When Season 1 started, it was one of my favorite shows at the time, but it ended on such an insane cliffhanger that it really pissed me off. I feel like that was another show where it kind of spoon feeds you a little bit, and by the very end, it was like about to give you the smallest hint of anything, and then the season ended. But with Season 2, we finally start getting some answers. They start going deeper into it, explaining some more of the intricacies of the universe and the world and how all that works. In case you don't know, Severance, it's about this company called Lumen, where if you're a worker there, you can basically sever your life into two, and that your work self is completely independent of your personal life outside of work. And so you basically have like two versions of yourself. But with Season 2, it really dives into some of the secrets that have been hiding in Season 1, not to spoil anything. I think this is one of the shows that will be remembered as one of the greatest for the 2020s. It's almost like this will be like my Breaking Bad or Sopranos. I never got to watch any of those shows while they were airing, and this is like the first time I feel like, okay, I can watch something that's going to be phenomenal as it's airing, and have look at theories and see what people think is going to happen in the next episode by watching it weekly. Every single aspect of the show I think is like just a 10 out of 10. I think the casting and the acting is all really well, and everybody truly feels like the character that they're trying to convey. The story overall I think is just very unique and unlike anything that anybody's really. I think the way the story is told and the story itself is excellent. On top of that, the cinematography and the attention to detail in each shot is very unique. You could pull up a shot from Severance and you can instantly know that it's from that show, whereas some other shows don't have as distinct of a visual identity. On top of that, I think the music is also really good, and the soundtrack fits and complements everything super nice. So I think just about every aspect that goes into a TV show, perfect in Severance, and Season 2 just further convinced me of that. Severance is going to be an all-timer for me, at least, and that's why it'll take the number one spot for me. Hope you guys all enjoyed. I don't think any of you fuckers saw Andor, so I really recommend checking that one out and stop being a bitch. But beyond that, see you guys next week. We got about two more videos I'm gonna do, and then our review month is gonna be over. So adios.